Folks, welcome back to another episode of The Fallen Badge. Today we're going to look at the murder of Trooper Cory Elson, Indiana State Police. Trooper Elson had been with the Indiana State Police for right around 4 months. Now, when he had gotten out of the academy, he'd been assigned to the Fort Wayne post. Now, he was only 26 years old, awful young. Now, he had a wife, and I'll bet if he'd been allowed to live, he would have had some kids. Now, he had just recently been allowed to drive by himself. You know, that first few months you got to ride with a training officer. I still remember when I first got to drive a Memphis police car all by myself. Trooper Elson's graduating class, I don't know if you call it cursed or what, but I've seen it when I was with Memphis. Sometimes you got a recruit class and it's just calamities follow the class. But 3 troopers out of this particular graduating class, number 56, were killed in the line of duty all within 10 months. You lose 3 troopers in 10 months. So that class came out in December of 1998. Now, Trooper Elson's roommate was one of the troopers that had died. He died just a month before Trooper Elson would. Now, I was going to mention that one just in passing, but it's so horrible that I think it was worth mentioning. But Trooper Elson's roommate at the academy was a fellow named Richard Gaston. Now, he was still on probation, so he had his field training officer with him. Well, they had a traffic stop on an Indiana toll road that's around milepost 77 in St. Joseph County. Now, Trooper Gaston's in the driver's seat and his training officer's in the passenger seat. And a tractor trailer rig comes rolling through, runs over their car, then it jackknifes, and it rolls over the car that Trooper Gaston had stopped, kills a man and a child inside that vehicle. Now, that's 3 people dead. Field training officer was seriously injured. So, folks, 3 deaths at one scene, that makes the truck driver a mass murderer by definition. That truck driver served 6.5 years of a 14-year sentence, and it was released from prison September of 2005. Now, there's something wrong with that. You commit mass murder and you do 6.5 years. So Trooper Elson sadly was going to follow right in behind his roommate. It's April 3rd, 1999. Now, he sees a Dodge Dakota pickup truck. I don't know what the violation was for. The resource material does not state. It's about 7:55 in the evening. So he lights up this truck, and the vehicle doesn't immediately pull over. Now, this stops over there on Highway 27 in Decatur. Now, what he doesn't know is the fella inside the truck who has some issue, either mental or brainwashed by somebody, parents, his peers, somebody, fella he's stopping is 38 years old, doesn't have a criminal record. But for whatever reason, 2 months prior to this, he'd been stopped by the police. I don't know if he was even issued a ticket. He probably was. But either way, he's an angry man. And he made threats that the next time he got pulled over by the police, he was going to have it out with them. Now that's an anger management issue. Now Trooper Elson must have known something was going on when that pickup truck he's trying to stop doesn't stop immediately. Now that truck pulls through the parking lot of that Advance Auto Parts store and goes all the way to the back of the store. Now that right there is a bad sign. You know that somebody in the truck is at the very least trying to hide something, or they're thinking about running. Now, according to the resource material, after he got the vehicle stopped, Trooper Elson was approaching the truck and he had his handgun out, which would have been good. That's what I would have done. But now I worked at night too, and I had a tendency to have my gun out on certain stops behind my leg. That way I didn't offend anybody in the car. But if you think something's about to go bad, it's always good to save yourself a couple seconds and have your pistol out. So now he's approaching the truck. Now there's a auto parts employee. He got a little nosy. He decided he'd step around there and see what was going on. Now I take it that he cut through the back of the store and came out the back door to watch, but not for sure. Now as Trooper Elson is getting up towards the truck, the driver of the vehicle, or disturbed person, steps out and he's got an SKS rifle. Now this SKS rifle is semi-automatic, but this fella who was angry because police dared to stop him on a traffic stop, he had converted it to fully auto. So he gets out and he cuts loose. Now, according to the resource material, it's really unclear if Trooper Elson even got a shot off. Now we do know that the bad guy got at least 30 rounds off, possibly as many as 36, but now those rounds tore up that squad car and they tore up the body of Trooper Elson. He's dead on the scene. Now the store employee gets hit by a round or part of a round or something. He's wounded. He's able to go inside the store though, call 911. Now this miserable person gets back in his truck and he takes off. Now it just so happened there's a off-duty Decatur police officer who heard the gunfire, and I get the feeling Decatur being a smaller town, the sounds of heavy rifle fire are kind of uncommon. So he gets in behind it. He's able to at least get a description of the vehicle before it gets away. Now they go the next day, the troopers do, and to the suspect's house. Now he's over at his parents' house. I don't know if he lives with his parents or not, but now if he's 36 years old and he's still living with his parents, that there's part of your problem already. And they do recover the murder weapon. Now, come to find out, this fella, he was listed as a self-employed carpenter and part-time preacher. Now, I don't know what kind of gospel this part-time preacher was preaching, but it sure doesn't sound like anything I'd want to hear. I've heard of turning the other cheek, but I've never heard of shooting a law enforcement officer because you don't want to be stopped. Which begs the question, was he out riding around trying to get the police to stop him? Because if you're going to take the time to convert your rifle into a machine gun, you want to be sure you can use it. There's something wrong with this fella. Anyways, our suspect was locked up. Now, he charged him with murder, criminal recklessness, possession of a machine gun, operating a loaded machine gun, and pointing a firearm. Now, what they were able to do, which I think is a good thing, prosecutors got with the family and they decided to offer a deal to the suspect, and that deal was, you plead guilty, we'll give you life no parole plus 20 years. In other words, you're not getting out. Now, if you don't want that deal, then we'll go to trial and we're going to ask for the death penalty. But of course, everybody knows you're not going to get the death penalty because they will appeal that until we're all dead of natural causes. But anyways, he took the deal and he's in prison and he's never going to get out. And the taxpayers of Indiana are not going to have to pay 3 to 4 times more money every year to support this fella. Now, this is, as always, a sad story, and it's a shame somebody so young has to lose her life over such foolishness. Trooper Cory Raymond Elson. End of watch, April 3rd, 1999.